So hello everybody, to everybody watching our final project here for our IT490 class. Um, Today we're going to be discussing mostly our changes that have been made not only through the GitHub, but also the changes that we have made from our main midterm project, right? Because this is the final. So this is what we got for the end. So I want to start off by just discussing what I have done throughout the project and the changes that I have made when compared to the midterm, of course. So first, my contributions within the actual GitHub website. Um, we start off with the core requirement number one: users will be able to register. I had a hand in the front end of the website. I'm just gonna click on here so you guys can see just the different work that my other classmates has contributed to in here. Also, they'll be talking more in depth about it. But I hand mostly within the project, within the front end of our web page. Core requirement number two, which was also completed, was users will be able to log in and log out. We're gonna click on here real quick so you guys can take a look at that. Users will be able to log in and log out, and sessions will be destroyed appropriately, right? Moving in. I'm kind of moving quick through them because we do have a lot to cover here. Core requirement number three, users will be able to update their profile, which you guys will also see once I go into the web page and we go a little more in depth. I kind of talked about this one within the actual midterm. And here we have a link to the completed profile page issue. Go back here. Core requirement number four, users who have permissions slash roles, right? At the minimum, there must be an admin role that you guys will be able to see in the webpage when I show it in a couple minutes. And the admin role basically means that this admin, this person has a permission to modify system data through the web UI, right? And of course, as always, general users would not have roles, um, and these roles are only to add the permission. Um, Anthony and Sai will be going more in depth over the admin roles. Um, then moving on to general project requirements, we have general project requirement number one, user activity and list, which I will also be showing off within the actual website. Uh, this page, basically it's automated logs, right? So it's tracking the user activity, and details logs would be things just as username, data, time of activity, type of activity, log in, log out, view meme face of the profile, and so on. For the view user activity, you have search for username, um, list of users. Moving on here. General project requirement number two, we have the create Moonface API. We had the face name, the illumination percentage, the moonrise time. We also have the, let me check that off. We also have the moonset time. Days until next moon phase, days until next full moon phase, and the save moon phase data to the database, which you guys will also see in a couple minutes when I go over to the actual website. We currently don't have the visibility of the region, just because of the time that we have within the project. We also don't have the load result into editable form to allow modifications. I think we had a little problem with the date, and the moon zodiac sign we cannot have it. It's just some other problems that my teammates will discuss when they go in depth on their side. Now this over here, I'm just gonna quickly skip because I'm gonna just show it off to you guys. This other general project requirements that we have. But as a whole, I just wanna let everybody know, to whoever's watching this video, that we completed 20 out of our, we completed 16 out of our 20 main project requirements. We completed all of our core requirements. We also thankfully completed all of our server requirements, and it was just in the general project requirements, we completed most of them, but except for we have missing just due to the time and other problems that we're going to be talking in a little bit more later. but let's get right onto the website. So for the website, of course, I'm going to be logging in for the admin, so you guys can really take a look at the admin side and see the new things and the new details that we have added specifically from the front end point of view. So I'm gonna come in here and just log in real quick. So of course, you go in email, password. This is exactly what we had. We didn't really change this much from the midterm. So we're gonna come in here real quick and put in the password, log in as the admin, and it takes us into a quick homepage here. It says welcome, and then it says the username or the email address that you used. And we're gonna hop right here onto the profile. As you guys can see, the profile is kind of kept the same from what I showed from the midterm. You have your username, your email, current password, new password, confirm new password. You have a birthday and you have a location. Um, we also kept the same uh, general, just first instructions and a welcoming message for the different users that are going to be here on the page. But this is for the admin, of course, right? But the user will also be able to see something similar. So I'm just gonna just quickly just fill this out here. Password, we'll just do password. We'll do 123, 123, and then birthday. We'll just do something random here. You guys can see America's update profile, and boom, right there when I clicked on update profile, it updated the profile, so we will be able to see on the database this new profile being added. Um, but anyways, we're gonna hop on to the moon phase here. Um, the Moonface data fetcher. We saw this one also on the midterm video. We're currently gonna try it out so you guys can see. I'm not gonna go over the messages here because we did go over this over midterm and the page hasn't really changed that much. So if we go over latitude and longitude, actually let me change these numbers up. So let's do 123.546 so you guys can see it on our database. All of this data that we're inputting can be seen on the database. And then for here, we're gonna do 65.789, and then we'll add one more number here. And then you click on fetch moon data, and here we go. Moon data tells you face name, waxing crescent, stage waxing, days until next full moon 13, days until next new moon 28. And this was fetched from directly from the coordinates that I inputted, but obviously I don't know. I use random coordinates, right? So I don't really know where that was at. But if you put actual coordinates from where you're from when you're standing at, you get the actual data because we're pulling it straight from the database. Then moving on to our zodiac, um, we have the enter your birthday symbol here and a nice image of the moon, something nice to attract the user's attention. We're gonna go select your birth month and then select your birthday, and then the user will click on submit. And then we do have an issue here just due to time restrictions and constraints, but my other teams will be going over some of these issues. But yeah, the user would click submit, and then basically we will be able to extract that data from uh, the database, and we'll be able to just put it on here just from the birthday of the user. And if we move over to the lunar journal, they could come in here. This is the area in which we were talking about within the project that we wanted users to come in here and just type something nice, just to have that sense of community, that sense of sharing and having feedback between each other and being able to just react, and foster some type of culture within our website here. So you can just come in here, type whatever you want, and all the comments were put on the bottom, and you'll be able to submit the comment. Right now, the comment also we had some issues with the submitting, but We'll talk a little bit more about that. Moving over to our admin page. So this is our biggest changes on here. We have um, first the create moon face, right? And we're gonna start with the choose the face name. We're gonna go with, we have all the moon faces here. There's 8: new moon, waxing crescent first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous last quarter, and waning crescent. Um, we're just gonna go with full moon here just for the purpose of the project. Then you have the stage, which is obviously full moon. Um, days until next moon. Let's do 50 days, and days until next new moon. We'll do 50-50 also, right? And you click on create moon face, and this will be added into our moon face database, which I will show real quickly. Let's just create the sign real quick. So here, right on the bottom, we have the create your zodiac sign. So in this small menu, you will type in your zodiac name. So uh, we'll put like Taurus. Symbol, we'll do like, let's put like cloud. And we have a nice little element here because some people, we figured out some people like, having a little bit more customization and feeling personal. So, you can have your element like fire or earth, water, air. And the ruling planet, we can put like Jupiter. And then traits here, you would just put, something that describes yourself, right? That adds to your personality. So you put something like, maybe like you're smart and funny and um, joyful, right? So just general things like that. And then you just go ahead and click on create zodiac sign. And then we have a list of user activities. Right now, no activities are found, of course, because we're doing all this through the admin login, and moon faces, no moon faces found. So moving over, we're gonna go into the database for the view moon, because remember we did create the moon face. So we're gonna click on view moon face. And if you guys remember, the last thing we did was full moon for the days 50 until the next full moon. Days until next new moon was 50 again. And then we have two actions here where we can just delete or edit, because like I said, we are the admin right now. We're in the admin role, so we have those permissions that we're allowed to edit or change the what's it called, the different moon faces. Of course, we do have an error here that one of my teammates is going to discuss more in depth, but um, this is what we have for the moon phase data log, right? In general. Then moving back, I like to talk about the view zodiac sign. Now remember, we just created the zodiac sign, right? So we're gonna go into view zodiac sign, and it literally lists out um, everything that zodiac related that we have for data. We're talking about symbols here. You guys can see the symbols. We have the zodiac names, the elements, fire, water. We have the ruling planet, right? Um, we have the different traits, right, that we have on there. And then, of course, as being the admin, you have the ability and the permission to delete and edit, which is very important for the admin role. As you can see, we added that last one that was Taurus, Cloud, Fire, Jupiter, Smart, Funny, and Joyful. There it is. That's the last one that we just added, as you guys saw on the example that I made. So we're gonna go back here. And then lastly, but not all, we have user activity. We're running into this issue where we have this long string of code appearing on the front end. That's an issue that I still not sure what's going on here. Hopefully I can get it fixed before we end it. But yes, this is something that to be taking notes right here. For the user activity log, it literally just puts down, all the times that the user has logged in. And it lets us know, right, which is really helpful for us, if the login attempt failed or if it was successful. If they logged in, and they registered, right? So as the admin role, this is very important for you to see and take data and analyze, um, of all these accounts that are coming in. And literally every time you log into the website or you register or you update or you log out, it's all listed on here. It's all listed on here. So we're just gonna go back. And lastly but not least, we have our good old logout. Once you click on logout, it says moonface.club says successfully logged out. And that's how we logged out. So now I just want to kick it over with my teammate Anthony here, who's gonna go a little bit more in depth behind the end here of the website.
Thank you, Heber. I'm Anthony Aliota. As mentioned from the MVP, I was the main contributor of the app server and the MQ client. Basically, every process of data transfer that occurs on our website goes over to the RabbitMQ before it is then consumed by the database or API server to further process. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some code that we have that handles all the on-click events on our website, such as the submit button or update profile button. So you'll notice here in our app folder, all of these process scripts is essentially where our RabbitMQ client server is, our RabbitMQ client is instantiated and sent over to the queue for the DB consumer or for the API consumer to consume and process the request and then send that data back to the queue for as a response back to the app client. So for example, we've showed how to log in and register. There are some new features that we implemented for the admin, such as deleting a moon phase. So in this script, a client is created using the testrabbitmq.ini configuration, which is essentially the gonna connect to the DB queue, which is size database server. First, it'll check if the phase name is provided, that is provided from the on-click event on the front end. I'll show you in just a second. It'll create a message to delete the specified moon phase using the phase name, and then it'll send the request and get the response from the DB consumer. The DB will process and delete the field from the database and then return the message. And then after that, the field will be deleted from the table and it'll redirect you back to the moon phase to the front end. So on the front end of the moon phase, you'll notice that down here, it echoes each field name from the database. So what is received from the size consumer script is also processed in here. So we have the get moon phases array. That is what get moon phases type is what is filling our table with information. And then down here is where the edit button and the delete button is processed. As you can see here, process delete moon phase is exactly where the client is the RabbitMQ client script is instantiated and sent over to the queue. So overall, that is basically how every feature in our project is worked. It communicates through the RabbitMQ first before it is processed and sent over to either the DB queue or the API queue. So I'll show you quickly how to delete a Zodiac. Same kind of setup. You would create a new client using the DBQ configuration. You would check if you would check based on the phase name if it was posted, and then you would create the message array as well. You would send the request and wait for a response, and then you would return back to the Zodiac front end. Finally, I could show you creating moon phase It's essentially the same thing. Each client script is you're going to create the client, and then in this script, you're going to check if the server request was post as it was, and then you're going to assign all those input submissions to variables, and then you're going to create a message array with those variables. You're going to send the response to the DB queue. The DB queue will handle it and send their response back to the app client. And based on that response, the app client will either redirect to a success page or handle a failure. So again, that's how essentially each feature that we have in our project is processed on the front end and through the MQ communication. Now I'll pass it over to Sai to further continue how the database is handled and his DB consumer script is processed.
My name is Sai Chandra. I'll be going over the DB virtual machine, the DB side and stuff. But first, I'd like to talk about the issues and what I contribute in. So I helped with the database side for the project. So I helped I created the DB side for the users, how they'll be registering, how they'll log in, update their profile. I added a roles column for the users table. I created code for inserting and fetching the user activity. I created the code for inserting for having the API information inserted into the database. I added features for creating the moon phase up for updating it and stuff like that. I made something for retrieving the moon phases for doing the moon phases. Creating the zodiac phase with the table DB handler. Retrieving the zodiac signs and doing the zodiac from the table. So for the delete moon phase and delete zodiacs, they are a hard delete, which means that once that button is pressed on the front end, it's deleted from the table on the DB side. I set up all the requirements for database server. So you see that there are about 4 issues left. Due to time constraints, we weren't able to implement the lunar observation journal. As far as we got in this, how can I move this part? We got up till the page. For me, I did create the table for it and the case, but the actual DB handler file isn't made yet. For user favorite moon phase, we never implemented that part. The moon phase of user birthday, we do have a user birthday, and that column is in the users table, but we never did much with it in terms of associating the moon phase with the user. With the reminders, we never got to that part due to time constraints. So as Heber went over the website, I'll first start by showing the consumer side. So from here, you can see that the moon information, which is the admin account, and the password show up on the consumer file. The role isn't specified yet. It's actually updated in the update profile part, and we never implemented a feature where the role could be updated on the website. The only way to give the admin role is is directly through the SQL query, which I did for the Moon account just for testing purposes. So you see that the type is login. This extra information just displays what was outputted in the consumer file. And then next, Heber updates the profile. This part is where the birthday location gets introduced. So that wasn't present in the register, but it is something that the users could do on the profile page. So you see, Heber put his username. There's email. There's a date of birth, and then there's a location. Current password is new password, and then it's change to 1 to 3. So it does show the password. It does show up unhashed in the consumer file, but I'll be going over the table very soon. Actually, I'll go over the table right now since we'll just switch between what was received. So down here, log login. I'll be going over the table for users, and we did cover this, and we did cover this in the MVP, but I'll be going over now just a quick one. You see Moon here. See that the Heber name is here. The birthday is updated, America's, and it does have admin account. Now, if it doesn't have admin account when an account is created, it's defaulted to user. So, moreover, you see that the profile was updated. All the data was received. Throughout this, you see that there was a create moon phase. The moon phase was here, waxing crescent stage, waxing. So I'll be showing this in the table now. So these are all the tables here. This was a create moon phase, so that means it should be existing in the moon phases table. Okay. So you see down here, it says waxing crescent, what waxing. Well, you see full moon, full, and then 50/50, which was found in the consumer file. Oh, wait, this is waxing crescent. All right, here. So like the create moon phase was made, but here in the demo, Heber went over the full moon. See 50/50 here, and then there's a create zodiac part. So we see Taurus, Cloud, Fire, Jupiter, Smart, Funny, Joyful, which is all found here in the consumer file. This is just an example. It just echoes back what was sent. Some extra information here. It shows the step by step. In case there's any issues, it's step by step of the error log, opening DB connection, preparing the statement. This issue here, it means that for the log user activity part of the DB server, which I'll get to at the end of this run of the consumer file, it did not have the email specified in the message array for this one, which is why it has this issue. But the inserting data with the moon phases and zodiac signs still work, but this part you'll 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 be seeing this a lot throughout the consumer file. It's just a missing email variable for the log user activity function, but that does the email does appear in the login, register, update profile parts of the code. So you see that the get moon phase retrieved, the moon phase retrieved, get Zodiac, and then get user activities. So I'll be going over the what data is in the user activities, and then that'll show whatever it can of what was actually done, but the login, register, update profile will be be there. All right. So you see a huge list of what was logged. You see the admin accounts. The email was used as a filler because we had some issues with the session data and how it was being retrieved across sites. So just as a filler, we put in email just so we didn't have that error. But this was all done by the admin account, on uh, unless it was specified otherwise. But everything regarding fetching the zodiac signs, moon phases, editing the zodiac signs are all done by this account. With this account, as this is the only admin account. So I went over the consumer. I'll be going over the DB server and how this is handled. So I separated the files for end user related files, login register, profile log activity, moon phase related files are the insert, fetch, delete, edit, zodiac related insert, delete, update, get. You see a commented out line here. So this was supposed to be from the user comment feature that we never got to. So for me, this is pretty much as far as I got. I implemented it DB side, but I was in the process of implementing it on the DB handler side. But due to time, I couldn't finish. So here it goes over the type as you specified, case for register, login, and you see here this function here is for the user log activity. So when the email is inserted here, the email of the current logged in user that did that action, it'll show their email in the function. It'll get inserted into the table. It'll have a message saying successfully registered, or like wherever this function was called. So I'll be going over the DB server file. Then I'll get to the log I mean, I won't be covering much of the register log and update profile because we already covered that in the MVP. I believe we already saw the log user activity, but I'll go over it again just in case. But the main stuff I want to focus on are the moon phases and how they're retrieved. So we have a get moon phase here. You see, the issue here is that there is a log user activity and it requires email, but the get moon phases function, it doesn't take in any parameters. So in the consumer file, it will show that PHP warning, email not found for this specific purpose. So this the moon data. Insert moon phase, edit, create zodiac, get, delete zodiac, update, delete moon phase. Here is where I had to comment it out because it was causing it didn't let the DB server consumer file run, so I commented out the user comment implementation or a feature. So for starters, I will be going over the log user activity part. Hold up. Okay. This is a log user activity. So with the function parameters email action, it'll just insert it into the table as I've shown in the table before. So first, I'd like to start off with the files that have the DB handler files that have to do with the moon phases. So I'll be showing the Moon API part. So you see in the Moon API, it calls a DB connection file. It just simply takes in the user credentials, well, my VM's credentials, and then opens a DB connection. It has functions for open con, close con, just for opening the connection and then closing the connection here. I put air logs throughout the code just to track what was happening, and these air logs actually show up in the consumer file. You see here, it's connecting to database, preparing SQL statement. So in this Moon API, this DB handler is only specific for the API data. So when this data is inserted, it goes for phase name, stage, days until next moon. It selects it first. It binds the parameters, and it executes the statement. Oh wait, this doesn't insert the data. It actually retrieves the data. You could see that these variables are assigned from the result, which fetches the record, and then the data is sent back over the moon phase, stage, stuff like that back to the client. Now this the insert moon phase. So I had to comment out the duplicate entry because we weren't able to get some records in. I'm not completely sure why we kept getting duplicate entries before, but for the sake of testing and showing the data, I decided to comment this part out. But it it was better because some moon phases, uh, they had different days until the next full moon and new moon for the same moon phase. So I think it was better that we commented this part out. Now this one goes over how the moon phases is inserted. Insert into the moon phase table is the name of the table. These values for the phase name, stage, days until next full moon, days until next new moon. These values, and these parameters are binded with phase name, stage, and then insert it into the table. The as the SQL statement is executed, and it this if statement checks if a row has been inserted. So it checks if the row count changed, and if it's above 0, it shows the error log for the phase name, and then it sends a return message with return code 1, which means that it was successful. The message, and then the moon phase is a PDO exception in case there is any issues regarding the SQL queries executing. It returns an error occurred and check the log. So for this file, a lot of the files follow the same structure. It always opens a connection. It prepares a query, binds the parameters if it's a if it's a insert DB DB handler file, and then it executes a statement, and then it returns a message whether it's message returned successfully, or like moon phase data insert successfully for any insert DB handler code, and if it's a fetch, then it just like the Moon API, it has these values in the message array as well. So this is a fetch Moon data. So this fetch Moon data was used in the list of moon phases. You can see here that it fetches it, and because so this file is special in the sense that instead of fetching record by record, this statement down here is what lets it fetch all the records in the table at once, and this is really helpful for the list. So like we don't have to keep pressing the button multiple times just to get all the records in there. So this fetches all the statements. It doesn't have any parameters because it's only fetching all the data, and then it attaches the results variable that has the array of data to the return message array as the data as an identifier, and then results as a value. This is the edit moon phase. So I kind of put it into like a weird format just to make it easier to read, because it's a long list of data that's being updated. So it'll update whatever moon phase is specified as phase name. It'll bind the parameters with the SQL parameters with the what's in the function. And then it'll say return code returned updated moon phase, and it'll provide what moon phase was updated. The delete, this is a hard delete, and you can see here that when the phase name is specified, it deletes from the moon phase where the phase name has the phase name in the function called parameters. So it binds a phase name and then it executes. This checks if there's a change in the row count, and if there was, then it'll return a message saying successfully deleted moon phase, and then it'll specify the phase name that was deleted. So I'll be going over the zodiac signs. So we'll start with insert zodiac here. We'll start with get zodiacs, which is the same thing as fetching. I believe there's an edit zodiac around here somewhere.
Sorry, my brother.
Yeah.
We're gonna fly over 45 minutes.
All right. I'll quickly finish this up then.
Honestly, I don't think it's a problem. I think you should just keep going. You're killing it, though.
Yeah, no, for real, he's actually killing it. You're cooking it. You're burning. You're burning the kitchen. Bro.
All right. Yeah.
Keep going on. Who cares?
No, you know what? I'll finish up super quickly. So as you can see here, the insert zodiac get the get zodiac phase, it follows the same code as the moon phase, like exactly the same. So you can see that this get zodiac also is no parameters. It has a fetch all. The only difference between those two files is the query that's used, selecting from name, symbol, ruling planet from zodiac signs, and I believe that is most of the DB implementation. I did go over the consumer file, the SQL tables that were present here. Yep, I went over I believe I went over the zodiac signs. Yep, moon phases. I went over that. User comments doesn't have anything for obvious reasons. It wasn't implemented yet, and now I'll be giving it over to Allan, who will be talking about the API side.
Thank you, Sai. We might be a bit over 45 minutes, but I'll try and make this quicker. So I was in charge of handling the API server, which is the only server that has access to the outside any outside internet information. We went over this consumer script that I had in the MVP in the midterm assignment, and the code is basically the same. We didn't change to the advanced API, as it was giving us a lot of data. It had all the data that we needed for our deliverables, but it had extra data that would have taken a lot of time to parse into the database, and due to time constraints, we didn't have that much time to like implement all that. But I did have this feature that when I was working on it, it's this basically did that. I'll give a little demo of what it was supposed to look like. Actually, I should have. So this was just in the process of like researching how to get this to onto the database, and this is what it should have looked like, but we had trouble implementing this into the actual website, so we stuck with the consumer that used the basic API. As you can see down here, this is from earlier in the video. Heber sent in some data on the some latitude and longitude input from the moon phase fetch page, and this is the data that was fetched from the API, and it was put in the queue. It was put in the API queue and sent as moon. Where is it? It was returned as moon data and sent to. It was put in a function moon data right here and sent to the database. In a previous code from the MVP, we had two different queues. We had an API queue and a DB queue, and we kept getting a queue exclusive queue error because we were trying to send that we were receiving data from the app to the API and trying to send it from the API to the DB queue, but the DB queue was exclusive. So we fixed this by routing this data back to the app, and then from the app, Anthony created another server that sent it to the RabbitMQ again, back to the database, and then from the database back to the app to be displayed on the page, like just as Heber showed you. So this is what I worked on. This was the code. This queue is also set to run on its own as soon as my service starts, just so it's constantly listening. Using the systemd. I'll look for that real quick just to show you. So yeah, this is active running and enabled. It should be. Hold on. Yeah. Moving on due to time, we were not able to fully implement. So moving on to load balancing, we were not fully able to implement load balancers for our entire project, but we were able to create load balancers but not implement them into the project. And the main reason for this was due to the way we migrated our code using this live push file. So the live push file we have sends in the configurations that we have set for our current virtual machines. And in order for the data to work on, in order for the files to run properly on the QA and production virtual machines, we need the code to have the configurations for those machines. And I'll just run this real quick just to show that how hold on, I'll split this terminal to show how, oh no, not that. Just to show how we push these files to our other machines. So we use this command live push these files to our QA and our prod machines, but the files are being pushed with the current configuration. So due to that, when we run these files on the other instances, they don't work. So that way, the load balancing does not work. So to solve this, one of the methods we researched and found was to write scripts that contain the machine's information, that pull the machine's information from the machine itself, and replace any type of configuration we have in our code with placeholders for those scripts, like variables, so that when the code is transferred to the other machine, it runs, and those placeholders are replaced with the actual configurations for that machine, and that way our load balancing will be able to work. So if we come in here as active, and our target groups are down here. The rest of my teammates have their setup, but I'll just show mine just for the sake of time. It's taking quite a while to load. Not sure why it's not showing up. So here's the target group. There's 3 healthy, 3 and 0 unhealthy. They're currently not being utilized. In order to confirm if this worked, we would copy the DNS from the load balancer, and to check if it worked, we would simply just paste it into our web browser, and the website should run, but due to functioning, the website doesn't run at all. So yeah, that's basically what we covered